everybody?
What's good, everybody?
Oh.
Yeah, I here.
Yeah.
Adrenaline
Oh, God.
in my soul. Something.
Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Welcome to another edition of Ringside with John and Kendra.
Hello.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute since we've done just one of these, but you know what? We've been pretty busy, so we're here. We've got some stuff to talk about. Kendra said we got to make it a tight 45, so we're going to try our best to make it a tight fucking 45, okay, y'all?
Yeah.
So what have we been up to? What have we been up to, Kendra?
Well, this past week, we actually went on a little family vacay with my family to the beautiful, lovely, sunny, balmy, tropical Michigan.
Yeah.
Northern Michigan.
Yep. And let me tell y'all, we are Florida folks through and through. It was fucking cold.
It was fucking cold up there, but you know what? I kind of liked it.
I kind of
liked it. I didn't mind the snow. It was John's first time seeing like snow, like country snow, not New York City snow.
Right. Well, I mean, when I was a kid, there was some snow up there too.
Yes, New York City snow.
Yeah. But anyway.
It doesn't count. That's dirty snow. You got to see
Holy
fresh
shit.
snow.
She said that's dirty snow. That's fucked up.
But it was really, really fun. We got to do a lot of... My mom is from Michigan. She grew up there. So we got to do a lot of stuff that she got to do when she was a kid. Stuff that we've never done before. Because I don't know if you know, in Florida, we do not get snow. And it was just nice to have a week of not being... like miserable outside.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been lovely here the last 2 days in Florida, but getting off that plane after the vacation was over, we got off the plane. It was fucking 80 degrees. The sun was beating down on us.
Right.
It was so humid. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
It wasn't a lovely experience getting off the plane.
But then I was like, I want a pub sub.
Yeah.
And I realized, you know what? This is home.
Right? Can't get a pub sub up
there.
Vanderbilt, Michigan.
No, can't.
But yeah, it was super cool. I think my favorite thing we got to do is, well, one of my favorite things we got to do. I actually had a really, really great time up there. But we got to go snowmobiling.
We did for 4 full hours.
Yeah.
I liked snowmobiling. It was really fun to be able to we went with no guide and just a map. A paper map.
A paper fucking map. I was like, what the hell is this?
That we did get lost on. We got lost on that map. But I genuinely thought I was going to lose fingers or toes to frostbite because I was so cold. But looking back now after and still having all of my fingers and toes, it was a lot of fun. It was also one of my favorite things to do.
I mean, just seeing an actual winter environment, seeing how the snow just kind of blanketed the roads, the trail, the trees.
Yeah.
It was super beautiful. And yeah, it was a really, really fun experience. There was one moment, I didn't tell you about this the day of because there was already enough happening. So at one point on the trail, me and some of Kendra's family were waiting for the rest of our party, and they never showed. So we were like, I'm thinking the worst. I'm like, oh my gosh, she got fucking lost. Because a really strong flurry of snow started coming down really hard. And I was like, oh my God, they got fucking lost. And so we all turned around. But so 3 of Kendra's family turned around before me and, headed off. Because I was kind of in a state of panic, I forgot that on roads, the snowmobile can only go straight.
Right.
So I'm turned, I start hitting the gas, and I start going straight. And the road I was on was basically on a small cliff. And I was getting ready, I had one leg off. I was getting ready to just abandon ship and let the fucking snowmobile go over the cliff.
Christ,
luckily,
John.
Those snowmobiles are real good about, if there's no one pressing the gas, it just kind of stops.
Yeah.
But I was like...
That would have sucked because the security deposit for those went on my card. That would have been hefty.
Right.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. So the reason that my half of the family had stuck behind is because my brother
poor kid.
My brother's very small, and he's light, and he done flew off the back of his snowmobile and landed in the snow with like his limbs all spread. And I was the first person to see him, and I was ahead of him, so I quit. I looked so fucking cool. I know I looked cool. I turned around really, really fast and went and like drove up to him and hopped off my bike, and I'm asking him, I'm like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And he's not saying anything to me. And I was like, I'm like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And he's like, "I'm fine." I was so scared because I can't see past his knee into the snow. And when I asked him later, I was like, "Didn't you answer me? I was so scared." He was like, "Oh, well, I was in a state of shock that I fell off that snowmobile." That was the second time he fell off too. Right. So frightening. Anyway, so we were dealing with that. And as we started getting going again, we see the cavalry come crest the hill on the opposite side. It was the rest of my family coming back to look for us. That was really funny. My poor brother, he did not think that was as funny as I did, but
yeah,
but it was fun. Overall, it was fun. I think everyone enjoyed that. Getting lost at the end was kind of frustrating, but yeah, I mean, all in all, the people we rented them from were really nice and very gracious about us being like half an hour late. And yeah, it was like something we can't do down here. I mean, we can drive golf carts all we want, but it's not the same thing. So it was super, super fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, it was very beautiful where we went. And if you're interested in seeing how that was for us, y'all don't have to worry, because we did indeed take a lot of footage, a lot of videos, a lot of pictures, and that will be, we're making a vlog right now, so that'll be out on our YouTube channel very soon. So you can kind of see all what we got to do. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that sentence made any sense, but you'll get to see what we did. See all what we
got to do. I think that made sense. But yeah, you'll get to see like the beautiful landscapes and certain things that we took pictures of. I'm like, this looks like a background, like a computer background.
Right. You don't ever really get to see that down here. So
yeah, especially not where we live, which is very like hustle and bustle city and not beautiful nature.
Right. Exactly. But something else we got to do there that wasn't really exclusive to Michigan, but it was one of my favorite things to do, because it's one of my favorite things to do every year. Mm-hmm. Well, for the last 2 years. And when I was a kid, we got to watch the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
The 2023 Royal Rumble Premium Live event. And boy, what a night.
Yeah, so when we were making this itinerary for our family vacation, I said, "Hey guys, listen, we can do this, but I do need to let you know that Royal Rumble is that Saturday night, and John, I don't care what you guys are going off to do, John and I will be wherever we're staying, and we will be watching Royal Rumble. Like, there's no, like, I'm not entertaining. This is the one thing I want to do on this trip.
Right.
Is sit on my ass and watch Royal Rumble." And we got to do that. And my family came in and out throughout the night.
Right. You know what? They're a lot more interested in it than they lead on.
I agree. I think if they gave themselves, all of them, if they gave themselves the grace to recognize how entertaining they find it, then they would be hooked just like we are. But they're too in their own heads, and
because some of them were asking like questions and
who's that?
Yeah, what's their deal? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, you'd like it if you gave it a chance. It is a big commitment though.
Right.
At least 2 nights a week and then once a month.
Right.
But worth it.
But there's DVR, there's streaming.
There's ways to play. They could ask me for a brief synopsis, and I would be very happy to give it to them.
Right. So, but yeah, that was like the one thing we were like you said, hey, we can do whatever else. Mm-hmm. We can go snowmobiling, skiing, tubing, eating in an igloo, whatever.
We did do all those things.
But the one thing we want to do is watch the Royal Rumble, and thankfully we did. Mm-hmm. And yeah, there's a lot to kind of dive right into with this, so I think we just hop right in. Okay. The night started out unbelievably because I could not fathom that they were starting the night with the men's Royal Rumble.
Yeah, that was crazy. And I know that this is something that Triple H specifically has mentioned in the past. I think he was in like the last press conference. He was like, I want to start the night on a high and end the night on a high.
Right.
And I can appreciate that. I understand the reason for keeping like your most popular matches towards the end to get people to watch it the whole way through. But when you have Royal Rumbles and you have a Roman Reigns match, like, you can spread it out. People are going to be interested through the whole thing. And we've seen that in, like, SmackDowns or Raws. They'll start with a big match. And we both are like, they're starting with this? That's crazy. And it's like an hour-long match to start off the show. And then they still have that strong finale match or segment or whatever.
Right.
And I think I appreciate that more than just saving the best for last and having to get through a lot of, like, I don't know, Vince era, like, filler matches.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like that's what the intention has always been, even before Triple H kind of took over as the creative content officer. So I agree that I think the intention has always been, like, you have, you know, your big way to kick off the night, and you have your main event, and everything else in between. It's not like, obviously, it's not always filler.
Yeah,
but,
especially in a premium live event.
Right.
Like, rarely is there filler.
But, like, last year, I think the Roman Reigns match started the Royal Rumble, whereas this time, and the men's Royal Rumble ended the night. So it was kind of reversed this time around. And it was super interesting that they did that. But nonetheless,
I think it worked out well.
Yeah.
So, especially after watching the Rumble. It
was funny because I think me personally, I had a little bit of a roller coaster of feelings with the Rumble after we watched it. Because in the midst of it, I'll say this part first before we get into, like, some details.
I'm watching him. You can.
I at first was like, it was very enjoyable, but it was very predictable. Like, we knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And then from there, I think the next day we were like, I wasn't super impressed. But then the more I thought about the Rumble, I was like, I kind of went back on it. I was like, actually, I was kind of impressed with the Rumble. Because there was a lot that they did. This year, they really focused on their current roster, but in a more meaningful way. They didn't just stick, you know, fucking anybody in the Rumble. They stuck a lot of, like, their stars and their, like, up-and-comers, you know, rising stars in the Rumble. And they sprinkled in a few surprises as well. Not as many surprises as maybe we wanted.
3 surprises. 3.
Yeah. But certainly I can appreciate that they wanted to showcase the talent they have currently in a more meaningful way than just being like, we need another body in there.
Good God.
It's my best Vince McMahon.
I felt better about the men's Rumble after you said that it was intentional, that they wanted to focus on their current talent. But going into it, having 27 announced participants, I was irate. I was so mad. Because I'm like, okay, part of me, I understand it from a business perspective. You want to sell tickets. You want to make sure that this event is sold out. You want to have 50,000 people in this arena. Could you imagine how much better Cody Rhodes' win would be if they had not announced him as returning at the Rumble?
Right.
Everyone would have speculated anyway. That's what everyone does. But for him to be announced a month in advance and then enter 30, which I didn't particularly enjoy, I'm just like, oh, okay, so that's what we're doing. And then he won, and it's like, yeah, of course he did. I think my biggest thing about the Royal Rumble, you know this, is that I like returns and surprises. Not necessarily like, oh, I'm back for another 2 years. I don't care about that. It could be, I just see you for the night, or like Booker T. Like, I saw you in the pre-show. Why are you here? quick change backstage, and now you're here. Booker T was like one of my favorite parts of the men's Rumble. I got to see him do a spin-a-rooney. I've never seen that before. That's what makes it, like, special. That's why it's my favorite premium live event out of all of them, except for maybe WrestleMania, but also maybe not. And when you have 27 announced, 3 surprises, and one of them's fucking Logan Paul, no offense intended, but, like, I'm mad.
Right.
I'm upset. After the fact, when you were like, oh, this was, like, their intention. Okay. I feel a little bit better about that.
Right.
Because I can appreciate that. I think, again, the Women's Rumble was better because they managed to have more surprises while still focusing on WWE talent. A lot of them were NXT people that I've never seen wrestle before. And I'm okay with that. It was someone new.
Right.
That's what I wanted.
Right.
Michelle McCool coming out from the audience was hilarious.
Before we get to the Women's Rumble, I do want to talk about kind of the card in order.
Okay.
So you mentioned Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes did come in at 30 and he did win. Which, like, that was the one thing, is that he came in. I already kind of knew he was going to win, especially since Sami Zayn was not announced to be in the Rumble. And they made it clear, like, at the beginning, Roman was like, you're staying with me all night. So, like, I knew that was another, like, thing people were maybe speculating, was that Sami would win the Royal Rumble and go on to face, Sami Zayn would face Roman at WrestleMania. But when that didn't happen, it was like, okay, Cody Rhodes is the guy. Like, and then he came in at fucking 30. I was under the impression that Cody Rhodes would come in between 1 and 5.
Yeah.
And he didn't. So, I mean, and that's fine. Like, whatever. Got some cool spots from Logan Paul and Ricochet.
Yeah, that was
got some cool stuff with Edge came back. And almost immediately got eliminated. He had a little spot with Seth Rollins, who he's had a history with, and they really set up Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio having a match at WrestleMania, some sort of match. So they did some cool stuff throughout.
Yeah, good moments.
But I think even though Cody Rhodes is the winner, and I'm very much looking forward to his match with Roman Reigns. I think the star of the Men's Rumble is freaking Gunther.
Yeah.
He came in at number 1, broke a record, an hour and 10 minutes in the Rumble. And then he and Cody had a fucking, like a mini singles match at the end of it, after it was just them two. Yeah, it was super, super cool. And when I think about moments like that is when I really, really appreciate what the Men's Rumble did this year. I'm not sure Cody Rhodes is going to win at WrestleMania. That's just maybe a little theory. But either way, I think it's cool. I think it was my one big complaint was that it's a little predictable after they made this whole big hoopla of his return. But I'm excited to see where this storyline goes. And yeah, so from there, I believe the following match, I'm trying to move this along, was Bianca and Alexa for the Raw Women's title. So Bianca and Alexa Bliss, I mean, the match was fine. I feel bad. Like, I like Alexa Bliss so much as a performer, but I feel like this match, it was fine.
I don't remember any of it.
Yeah,
I don't remember any of it.
It's not been a particularly memorable feud.
Yeah. Like,
in certain areas it has been. I just feel like they've taken too long with what character change they're going to do with Alexa.
Yeah.
So I feel like it should have happened before then.
Yeah.
And I feel like at that point, or maybe that was the change. That was the moment for the change.
But instead it was just...
And she could have, I think they could have really done a big upset and had her win. But yeah, I mean, the match was just fine. It was just, there wasn't a whole lot of chemistry, I think, to begin with.
Yeah.
So just, I mean, but again, nothing against either of them as performers. I like them both very much. And Bianca Belair is outstanding every single showing.
I think it's just a weird storyline. Right. Like, it wasn't developed enough.
Right.
Before we got to that point.
Right. But I'm excited about the Elimination Chamber match coming up, because I think whoever wins that will put on a really great show with Bianca. Because so far that lineup for the Chamber match is stacked. Yeah. For the Women's Chamber match. So I'm excited about that. Any other thoughts on Bianca and...
No, Alexa? I can't remember it.
Fair enough.
I do remember the next one, though.
The next match is a one of a kind, very first Mountain Dew Pitch Black match.
Mountain Dew.
Between Bray Wyatt and LA Knight. For those who watched our pre-preview or listened to it, I thought LA Knight was taking the night. That did not happen. Bray Wyatt, he sort of introduced a new look, which, you know what? I kind of dug it. I thought it was cool.
When we realized that it was black lights. One, that makes a lot of sense.
One, I was fucking right.
John did call that. But yeah, I think that opens the door to a lot of cool opportunities. And seeing his face paint, that was pretty cool. It was like a new way to be a creepy little guy.
Right.
I appreciate that. From what I remember, the match was relatively short, right?
Yeah, because they had a big spot they did
ending.
afterward.
So, and that was pretty cool too, and terrifying. I don't like witnessing Uncle Howdy. I like that he's there. I don't like having to look at him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I thought him jumping 300 feet, no parachute,
Yeah.
onto, I believe it was a solid concrete floor. And he decapitated LA Knight with his feet.
Okay.
I think that was pretty cool. And then the pyro after. I don't know. I was entertained. And that's all I could hope to be from a match that I had no fucking clue what was going to be going into it.
Right.
I like their little beef that they were having. So
yeah,
I enjoyed it.
I think the match was fine. I think the stuff they did afterward was a little cooler. But I'm excited to see where Bray Wyatt's character goes from here. Mm-hmm. And I'm super excited to see LA Knight, whatever he does. I love that guy.
He's in the hospital.
Pipe down, I'm talking.
Oh my god. I hate him so much.
He wasn't on SmackDown, so I think he is recovering. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I thought the match was fine. I really like the black lights, the neon, all the neon colors that were there. That weird shit that came out of the table when it exploded. Yeah, I thought the match was fine. All right. Now, our penultimate match was actually the Women's Royal Rumble match. Mm-hmm. And as you were mentioning before, again, 2 years in a row, I agree with you. I think that the Women's Rumble was a little more entertaining than the Men's Rumble.
Agreed.
And a lot of cool stuff happened in it.
This is only what, like the 6th Women's Rumble?
Something like that, 7th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they started in 2018, 2019.
Does that math work out? I don't know. I think there were 6 because I think someone had been mentioned that she was in the first one and it was her 6th. Can't remember though.
Was in 2018.
5?
So yeah, maybe they did some.
Maybe it was like Nia. Spoilers. Maybe it was Nia Jax, and because she was in the Men's Rumble. I don't know. Anyway, but
that's true. Some of them had been in several
Men's Rumbles.
Right.
But yeah, the Women's Rumble I think was more successful. One, because there was less mystery. I mean, there was more mystery on who was going to win. There wasn't like an obvious contender. I think we had like a few people who were like, it could be them. And also they announced less contestants or participants. So there were more surprises.
Right. And we had, I think our first 2 contestants were Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, who went the freaking distance.
Yeah.
But we also had a lot of we did have some really cool returns. Michelle McCool popping out from the front row. Just
with her children.
With her Uggs on.
She's like, okay.
Yeah.
That was cool. I like that.
Apparently she got the call like maybe a week before.
Yeah.
So that was super cool to see her in there. I'm curious if that's going to be her thing for a little bit, or if maybe they'll bring her back for one last run before being inducted into the Hall of Fame. One of my favorite moments out of the Rumble was seeing the return of my girl, Asuka.
Okay, good. Thank God you didn't say Nia Jax. Yeah, love to see Asuka back. A little devious little Asuka.
Right, little evil Asuka.
Evil Asuka.
Yeah, I'm super
love
excited.
The hair. Love the spooky look.
Yeah.
Quite frightening when she took off that mask and I saw what was beneath.
Right.
We got an Asuka mist.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Cool fucking moment.
Love that.
And the winner, the first ever woman to go from number 1 in the Rumble all the way through to win the whole thing, Rhea Ripley.
I think she deserves it. She has had a really good few years.
I think last year in particular, her 2022 was just like out of this freaking world.
Yeah. And I think she's proven herself as not even just like a strong competitor, but also a good character and personality. People love her. So I think that was a great spot for her to be in. and a really cool superlative to be able to say, at least for, well, forever. She'll be the first woman too.
Yeah.
Even if women do it longer, she'll still be the first one. And I think that's super, super cool. Good for her.
She made history.
Yeah.
And she was my pick. I wanted her to win the Rumble. I was super excited when she did. The way she won was also super cool. It's very creative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just think of like when we first started watching, like she was. I think Triple H talked about this at their press conference, or he mentioned it in an interview somewhere. Just seeing where like Rhea Ripley started and like how shy she was, like as a personality, to seeing her like go on to, you know, a big match at WrestleMania. It's super, super cool. I'm very excited for her. And to see what she does. I hope she wins that match. I'd love to see her against Charlotte Flair. And I think she deserves like a legit title run. And I don't know whether that means she'll kind of be drafted over to SmackDown. And if that breaks her apart from the Judgment Day, or if the Judgment Day is going to kind of cross-pollinate with whatever fucking brand they feel like.
That seems more likely to me.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all about the Judgment Day now. After Edge was booted, I kind of was like, I don't really know if this is working for me. I'm changing my tune. I'm all in. I love them all. I love Dominic. I
know that I also trashed Judgment Day, and I'm still slightly a hater. But I will say, I think, because I didn't believe Dominic Mysterio as like a bad boy. Ooh. But now that he's able to be like mean, he's like funnier.
Right.
He's super funny. His whole prison thing, the like NASCAR whatever that they did yesterday night. I think he's taking to it very, very well.
Right.
So I also am growing to appreciate the Judgment Day more.
And it's cool when you think about like Dominic and Rhea. They're both like younger superstars. Yeah. So them getting a chance to work with like veterans like Edge and Rey Mysterio and people who, you know, even Finn Balor and Damian Priest, you know, people who've been doing this a long time, like getting to work with them. I mean, obviously they bring their own thing, like not diminishing what they can do. Right. But just getting that extra experience and knowledge, like I think it shows in their work. Yeah. Both in their character work and their in-ring work. But yeah, I'm all about Judgment Day. So I hope that they stick together even after. But yeah, I'm really digging this Rhea Ripley push right now. So I'm a little sad that we won't see Rhea versus Bianca Belair. Yeah. But I'll be patient. That time will come.
Yeah, it has to.
Right. The fans want it. I think they're hip to it. But it's long-term booking. All right, and that brings us to our final match of the evening. Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. I mean, it was a banger of a match. We had no fucking doubts. We knew it was
going to be. Yeah, I think the match was exactly what people were expecting. It was great because of who was in it, and Roman retained. I think that was what everyone expected. Afterwards, I think
it's the cinema, the story that came with it.
It was the theatrical experience we got towards the end. I think that's what made it a really special match. And we have been talking for weeks and weeks and weeks, and everyone's been speculating, when is the
bloodline going to turn on Sami Zayn?
Yeah, when is that final shoe going to drop? The trial, that was a little scary, folks. We almost got into it then. But when that not guilty verdict was passed down from Judge Reigns, if you will. I breathed a sigh of relief and I said, okay, it's not that time yet. Little did I know, we didn't have much time left.
Right.
So we definitively marked the end of Sami Uso as part of the bloodline in a very chaotic way. And, you know, we knew this was coming, but I didn't realize the angles that they were going to play within it. So Sami betrayed the whole bloodline by hitting Roman Reigns with a chair, right? But then that caused some brotherly disconnect between Jimmy and Jay, because Jay was like, hey, I vouched for you. I loved you like a brother, and didn't get involved with the torture that happened afterwards.
In fact,
we don't know where he is.
He dipped.
And
he was posting online saying, I'm out.
I'm out of what? I'm out of where.
So yeah, it was just like, man, the storyline and the way people have taken to it. It's like, it's cool because this is like a storyline that will be remembered.
Yeah.
Much like, I mean, I'm making a big comparison now, but this is the only comparison I can make. But I think the storyline will go in the WWE history books, along with, your Rock and Stone Cold and, just super famous through lines.
Yeah.
Especially when you have to remember the Sami Zayn bloodline storyline was not supposed to be more than like 4 or 5 weeks, but the fans just took to it and loved it. And they're like, well, you can't stop it now. Like, you're gonna have to see how this plays out.
Right. Even yesterday during SmackDown, when Roman came out and he said, I have business to attend to, and he came out alone, he didn't even start talking before people started chanting for Sami.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate that they gave this storyline room to breathe, because they could have just ended it, stuck to what they were going to do, and have that be that. But I think through this, we saw how good Sami Zayn is at running with a storyline, at making it his own, because I know he's improvising up there. I know he is.
Right. Because he can. And just like how much people appreciate that and like him for that. Right.
As a character. So I hope this means big things for him in the future, because he's super, super talented. And I think before this, he was super underrated.
2 things before we move on to the next topic. The first is, what I love so much about Sami is that this time last year, for the Royal Rumble and in WrestleMania, he was in a Jackass storyline.
Yeah.
With Johnny Knoxville, which was great. Don't get me wrong. It was super funny, super entertaining.
I liked that match.
Yeah, the match was great. And that just, again, goes to show fucking range for Sami Zayn, and how well he's able to sell a story and just play whatever part he needs to. The second thing is that it was interesting when, before he started speaking, Roman Reigns, was feeling the crowd, listening to them chant Sami. And even when he did his acknowledge me, you still heard a lot of cheers. We weren't hearing all the same, I was expecting more boos and more jeers, but we still had a good amount of them, putting their ones up, acknowledging the tribal chief. I'm also proud of Roman in this storyline, because like, he's playing off very, very well as well. And I know something people like to say, like, oh, well, he's only good because Paul Heyman's with him. I'm like, that's not true anymore. That may have been true in the beginning of all this, but
kind of like Brock Lesnar. Like, Brock Lesnar needed that help, and now he's okay to stand on his own. He's fucking crazy, and sometimes I'm like, what did you say? But
his mic skills are on point, and I think Roman's actually better when he's not on mic, when he's
reacting
just with the camera, and he's like talking shit. It's so good every time. So, but with Sami Zayn, it's just interesting that before, like, you would have only really considered him. I mean, from when we popped in, people who have been following his career, I think have always known. Yeah. But like, we associated him with these, like, he had a goofy character. He had this goofy storyline last year, and now the conversation is like, I think he could main event at WrestleMania. Yeah. Like, if it was him versus Roman at WrestleMania, I would be over the moon. Yeah.
I'd actually prefer that match.
Right. So, but I'm glad we're getting it in an Elimination Chamber. So we'll see what happens. Wouldn't it be the fucking craziest thing of the year if Roman lost the titles before WrestleMania?
Lost one of them?
No, lost both of
them.
So anyway, I don't think that'll happen. I think what'll happen, making the prediction here. I think Jay will return and will unfortunately turn on Sami Zayn.
Yeah, I think he has to.
Yeah.
I think he has to.
Either way, that was Royal Rumble, and it was a hell of a good time. So I'm excited to go on with everything we're getting set up on the road to WrestleMania.
I do want to say 2 things we didn't mention. One, highlight of the night, Pat McAfee returns. See. So that was great. Kind of bummed to not see him on SmackDown yesterday, but it means he's closer to returning than before. And then Kofi Kingston, stop making that man jump through fucking literal hoops. I feel so bad for him.
And it's not his fault.
No, I feel like unless he's the one like urging to up the game every single year, but I don't know, just have him stick in it, and I get that that's like his thing, but I'm frustrated on his behalf.
Right.
And then another thing, a lot of the returns that we thought we were going to see during Royal Rumble ended up happening on the next episode of Raw. Carmella came back.
Yeah, super excited.
So excited. So yeah, it was interesting that they did it that way. Oh, and fucking Rick Boogs, yeah. Sorry, John just air guitared and made me think of, Rick Boogs. That would have been huge in the Rumble. Why didn't they just do?
It's fine. I think ever since War Games, I think they're trying to make everything more storyline. As opposed to just things happening. I mean, I agree. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just happy to see Boogs back.
Yeah. But anyway, those are the things that I wanted to mention before we moved on. But yes, so.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's been a good time. So something we're kind of preparing to wrap up here, but we had a few questions submitted by some lovely listeners. I assume they're lovely. I don't know.
Could be horrible. We don't know.
So we wanted to give some space to answer some of the questions y'all sent in.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna actually put our second question first, because I think the first question we have a lot more to say about.
Yes.
So this question here, is John Cena overrated? Staying in the world of wrestling here, is John Cena overrated? I'll let you answer.
No. There you go.
Yeah, I think it depends on the context. I think if you're looking for, sorry, one of my cats is meowing. I think if you're asking like about his in-ring skills, I would also say no. I think he's absolutely awesome in the ring.
Still.
But also as even, I mean, we just saw him.
Yeah.
But I think being a WWE superstar, no, absolutely not. I mean, he was the face of the company for so long. Yeah. Even now, like he brings a different sort of energy. Like, I mean, you can literally see the reaction on one of our videos on YouTube when we went to SmackDown.
Yeah.
When John Cena and like when his music starts playing, like there was just an electricity in the air. So I think that speaks to how well he can command a crowd. I think he only wrestled for about 5 minutes in that match, and that was enough to bring the fucking house down. So like I don't think, I mean, you can make the argument of like, oh, was he over pushed? Sure, maybe. But again, he was the face of the company. Like,
yeah, and I think he had to take a lot of shit to get to that point. Kind of like Roman Reigns.
Right.
So I think the struggle made it worth it. Like he put up with so much shit that he deserved to be celebrated the way that he still is to this day. And like you said, he was like the face of a generational transition within wrestling.
Right. And
that's
like
huge.
I mean, you see this with everyone. Like when you see Roman Reigns wrestle, you're expecting to see a spear. You're expecting to see Superman punch. You're expecting him, ooh-ah. You're expecting all of this stuff. With John Cena, it's the same thing. You're expecting the 5-knuckle shuffle, attitude adjustment. You can't see me. Like, yeah, he's going to deliver the hits. Every wrestler does that, especially when you're that level. If you saw The Rock wrestle, you're expecting...
Imagine if he didn't do anything.
Imagine he didn't do the people's elbow. Imagine he didn't do a rock bottom.
He'd be pissed.
Yeah, like what the fuck? There's wrestlers who don't necessarily have that, iconic status.
Mm-hmm. I also think that John Cena is underrated as an actor. I think a lot of people think that he's a worse actor than he is, and I think that's false. You should watch Peacemaker. Right. That is my thought on that.
But anyway.
Next question. Who
would be an MCU/DCU wrestling matchup with no powers?
The no powers thing is what's getting me, because, girl, I don't know these guys.
We have the fortunate aspect here that some actors in the MCU and DCU are already or have been professional wrestlers.
We should return to this question when we have more time to truly debate. And by more time, I do mean an hour. Because I don't know if that's a cop-out or not. Can we pick wrestlers?
I certainly think we can.
Okay.
But if you want to have fun without it. Okay, so like I'll say a cop-out answer for me, if I'm picking from DC and MCU, Drax the Destroyer and Black Adam.
Boo.
Yeah. Like, come on. It writes itself. If we're doing DCU versus DCU, we've got Peacemaker versus Black Adam.
We can watch that already.
Yeah,
that exists.
They've had 2 WrestleMania main events. We don't have to imagine that. But there are some other, I think, cool matchups we can do here. Kendra, do you have any?
Sure. Okay, truly out of the gate, I have something crazy. Harley Quinn.
Ooh.
Okay. She's like, I don't know how well. I think she like grapples and stuff. She can get around.
Yeah.
Versus Colleen Wing.
Ooh.
Ooh, those are very
good.
different vibes.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah.
But I thought, hey, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, and then my other one, this would be just in order to see one of them get their ass beat, you can guess which one. Drax the Destroyer versus Danny Rand. Okay, so we got a big guy, little guy thing. I think Drax would dominate, and I would love to watch
I don't know.
it.
That's like Braun Strowman and Ricochet. They have different skill sets.
Maybe they would team up, but I think Drax would find Danny Rand insufferable.
A couple I have here. So this answer is going to be controversial.
Okay.
Because this is technically not in the MCU proper.
Okay.
It's more of like an adjacent. From the 2002 film Spider-Man, Bonesaw McGraw.
Bonesaw.
Played by Macho Man Randy Savage versus, this is kind of a deep cut, one of the guys that She-Hulk dated in the She-Hulk series, who was played by the wrestler David Otunga.
See, like, we don't know if that character can wrestle. I saw him for 2 seconds.
Right, but I know the actor can wrestle.
The actor doesn't exist in this scenario.
But just the idea of someone wrestling, just seeing
Bonesaw
McGraw
wrestle anybody would be fucking funny.
Oh yeah, dig it, Bonesaw.
Oh my god.
I have a cool tag team match.
Okay.
I would love to see Gamora and Nebula in a tag team match against Wonder Woman and her mother, Queen Hippolyta, I think is her name, played by Connie Nielsen.
Connie. That's my mom's name.
Yeah, but I think
that would be
the Daughters of Thanos versus
strange.
the Daughters of Themyscira.
Oh.
Come on.
Oh.
Come on.
John's writing.
And if I was going to do like an MCU versus MCU, I'm kicking myself for not thinking of Colleen Wing.
Sorry.
But I would love to see Black Widow versus Sharon Carter.
Black Widow would annihilate Sharon Carter.
I don't know.
So sorry.
Sharon Wick? You kidding me?
Oh.
Sharon Wick?
That's with a gun. I don't know.
She was throwing hands, knives, bullets.
Yeah, I don't know. So here's my final one, and I think this match would be amazing purely for the shit talking that would go on. Amelia Harcourt from Peacemaker versus Yelena Belova.
Ooh.
Close the book, guys.
Ooh.
Episode's over. That would be an amazing.
Lois
They
Lane
already
versus
don't have
Jessica
powers.
Jones.
I don't even have to consider powers because they don't exist.
Did you hear what I said?
No.
I said Lois Lane versus Jessica Jones.
Lois Lane versus
Just
Lois from Family Guy. I have to go to the bathroom.
All right. Anyway, well, thank y'all for listening. You can check us out on all the socials. So Instagram, TikTok. Check us out on YouTube and on Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe. Find out when we do our next live streams. Check out all our content. It's awesome.
Let us know the answers to the questions too. Do you think John Cena is overrated? And give us some DCEU, MCU wrestling matchups. I would love to hear people's suggestions.
Yeah, please comment them below, and we will see y'all on the next one.
Bye.
Peace.